I remember when I first met him. He was standing at the far end of the cafe, sunlight spilling through the big front window like it had been invited just for him. He didn't move much, didn't speak loudly, yet somehow you couldn't help but notice him. There was something in the way he carried himself, not with pride, but with a kind of quiet certainty, as if he knew exactly who he was and didn't need to prove it. He had one of those faces that looked like it had been drawn with kindness first and everything else second. And when you spoke to him, he made you feel like there was no one else in the room. That's a rare gift, and he had it without even trying. People gravitated to him. They always have, I suppose. It wasn't just charm. Charm can be learned. This was different. It was the way he listened. You could be telling him about the most trivial, silly thing, and he'd look at you like you were describing the turning of the seasons. He gave people his time, his attention, his energy, and he gave it like it was an infinite well. And that's where the story really begins. At first, it was small things. A neighbor asking him to help move some boxes, a coworker just needing a quick favor, a friend showing up unannounced and leaving 2 hours later with a smile and a lighter heart. He never said no. I don't think it even occurred to him that he could. I used to watch him in those early days and think, this is what it means to be good. He had so much to give, and he gave it freely. If he was tired, you wouldn't know it. If he had plans, he'd set them aside. People thanked him in little ways, a coffee, a laugh, a pat on the back. And he accepted those tokens like they were more than enough. But here's the thing about people like him. Generosity is a beacon, and the brighter it burns, the more it draws in. Soon, it wasn't just friends and neighbors. Strangers began finding their way into his orbit. The woman from the bus stop who just needed to borrow a phone came back the next day to ask for a little help with rent. The old acquaintance from school who had been meaning to catch up turned out to need a connection for a job. The man who struck up a conversation in line at the store. He had a whole list of favors, and somehow they all landed in this man's lap. It was never all at once. That's not how it happens. It's one leaf at a time. One favor. Just a moment of your time. And he gave them, all of them. He began staying up later to finish the work he hadn't been able to get to during the day. He skipped meals, telling me he just wasn't hungry. He stopped taking walks alone because every time he stepped outside, someone recognized him. And there went another hour. The tokens of thanks grew shinier. Dinners paid for, glowing praise on social media. The kind of reputation that makes people say, "You're lucky to know him." Those were the coins, in their many forms. But coins don't feed you. They don't water your roots. They just shine. I started noticing the change slowly, like watching the seasons turn if you didn't have a calendar. His laugh was still there, but it came less often. The easy way he used to carry himself became heavier. He forgot things, not because he didn't care, but because there was simply too much in his mind, too many threads he was holding for other people. And still, he gave. There were moments when I thought I saw him hesitate, like he might say no. But then someone would look at him with that mix of hope and expectation, and the word would catch in his throat. Instead, he'd smile and say, "Of course." I think that's when I began to worry, because it wasn't just his time he was giving away anymore. It was his joy. One evening, I found him sitting alone on his front step. No phone, no book, just staring at the ground. "You all right?" I asked. He looked up and smiled, that automatic smile he'd mastered. "Yeah, just tired."
But there was more than tired in his eyes. There was the kind of emptiness you can't wrest away. It kept going. The coins piled higher. Invitations to exclusive events. People speaking his name in rooms he'd never been in. From the outside, he looked like a man rich in everything that mattered. From the inside, I think he was disappearing. Then came the day it stopped. Not with a bang. That would have been easier to understand. It was more like a quiet unraveling. Calls went unanswered. Messages left on read. The constant stream of requests met with silence. People were confused at first, then impatient, then angry, and then they stopped coming altogether. When I saw him months later, he looked smaller, not thinner, just reduced. The edges of him that used to reach out toward people had curled in. He still smiled, but it didn't travel all the way to his eyes. We sat for a long time without speaking. Finally, he said, "I thought I could give forever. I thought, as long as people needed me, I'd be fine." He shook his head. "I forgot I needed me, too. I didn't have an answer for that. I still don't. Because here's the truth I haven't told you yet. The reason his story has stayed with me. The reason I can remember every detail. He wasn't just someone I knew. He was me. I spent years giving away pieces of myself for coins I couldn't spend, for praise that didn't keep me warm, for the comfort of knowing I was needed, even if it meant I was never truly whole. And by the time I realized what I'd done, the ground beneath me was buried under so many shiny things I'd forgotten what the earth even felt like. I used to think that the noblest thing you could do was give everything you had to everyone who asked. Now I know better. If you want to last, you have to keep some of yourself for yourself. Your time, your energy, your love, they're like the oxygen in your lungs. You can share your breath with someone who's drowning, but if you keep giving it away without taking your own, you'll both go under. The truth is, the world will never tell you to stop giving. The people who take from you won't always see what it costs. So you have to be the one to draw the line, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. If you've been feeling empty lately, if you've been saying yes when your soul is begging you to say no, I hope you remember this. You are not a resource. You are a person, and you deserve to live a life that still has enough of you in it to enjoy. So here's my call to you, not as a stranger telling a story, but as someone who's been where you are. Pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself if you've been giving so much that there's nothing left for you. And if the answer is yes, it's time to start keeping some of your leaves. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. Leave a comment. Tell me the last time you gave too much and what it cost you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, where we can unpack the truth together, hit subscribe. Because we've all been the person who gave too much. But we don't have to stay that way.